Good morning, everyone. I hope you all had a great weekend. Welcome to a new episode of Capital Markets Quickie. I'm your host, Endrit Sella. Now, if there was ever a week where everything just perfectly fit together, then last week was definitely it. Let me break it down for you. First up, let's talk about Brent Crude oil because it's been making some waves again. Last week we saw it cruising above $90 per barrel, and yes, that marks the second straight week of oil prices heading north. But here's the kicker. When oil prices start to climb, the entire energy sector feels the heat, and that means, yep, you guessed it, inflation starts knocking at our door again. Now, to put that into perspective, our good old 10-year US Treasury yields peaked at a hefty 4.3% last Wednesday. By the time the weekend bell rang, they were resting at 4.26%, and, well, that's a jump of almost 2% from the previous Friday. Now, for those of you who've been tuning into our podcast, Capital Markets Quickie, you'll recall we've chatted about yields before. The higher they go, especially those real yields when you take inflation out of the picture, the more they draw investors away from things like gold. It's not that gold isn't shiny anymore, it's just that there's a shinier and safer toy in town for our US dollar investors. Speaking of US dollar, our dollar, well, not our dollar, but the dollar has been flexing its muscles for 5 weeks straight now, clawing back some ground it lost against the euro. And what's fueling this comeback? Our familiar duo, rising oil prices and interest rates. Now, always remember, folks, the majority of oil traded worldwide is dealt in US dollar. So a boost in oil prices, well, that's a thumbs up for the dollar. Now, a quick peek at the stock market reveals no major dramas, but with the way things are, it was hardly a shocker to see the market wrap up the week in the red. The big talk around town is still about inflation and interest rates, and as oil prices continue their ascent, the whispers grow louder about inflation rearing its head again soon. So, what's the big fear? Well, central banks might be rolling up their sleeves and getting tougher than we'd like, and we were all hoping for the opposite to happen. And that's what's making the markets kind of nervous right now. And before we sign off, a quick note on the G20 summit over in India. I didn't forget about it, and we're definitely going to do an episode on that this week and sum up the most important takeaways. As you know, the summit was 3 days long until yesterday, Sunday, so we're definitely going to take a look at the most important takeaways for you guys. All right, that's it for today's episode on the capital markets with Capital Markets Quickie. And yes, as always, I'm your host, Endrit Sella. I look forward to hearing from you guys. Give me some feedback, and I would definitely appreciate it, me and my whole team, if you could just give us a rating on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and all major podcasts out there. So guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Cheerio.